Hello and welcome to my summary of Live Letter Part 83, live broadcast from the Tokyo Game Show 2024. Yoshi P and Foxclon take the stage for patch 7.1 coverage for Part 1. There'll be a Part 2 live letter, presumably in October. We don't know the date at this point, but this is Part 1. They usually do two-part previews of a patch before the patch comes out. And there'll be no in-game footage in this live letter, only slides. That'll be reserved for the part 2, which will presumably be on home turf outside of a Tokyo Game Show. This image was shown first. This is the patch artwork featuring Reen sort of merged there with Gaia, with these angel wings at the top, representing that new Ultimate Futures Rewritten, which is an absolute gorgeous piece of artwork, by the way. There's also characters representing Final Fantasy XI, some of which you'll probably recognize there. And then there's the Cloud of Darkness at the bottom, which is a bit of foreshadowing. The reveal, the title of the patch then, it's called Crossroads in English, and the release date is mid-November 2024. So I thought it was going to be the start of November the 5th, something like that. It could be November the 12th, the following week, something like that. Who knows? Mid-November for patch 7.1. Features of this new patch include new main storyline as shown in these images with varying different things. We can't really overanalyze them too much. In addition, we also have the new Pelu Pelu Allied Society quest. So this is actually a battle job related Allied Society quest, previously known as Beast Tribe quests originally, if you're confused. As you can see, the Pelu Pelu have vibrant clothing colors here in comparison to the ones that we've already seen in the game so far, notifying them that perhaps they're a different organizational outfit of the Pelu Pelu. And it is for battle jobs, which was quite surprising to see. Not that, leveling is that difficult in this expansion, but that should help you if you've got some jobs you want to level up. There's a new custom delivery client with Nito Wikwe. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. You might remember this character from the train mission. Basically our world's version of the Trolley Boys, if you remember that. Basically, that's the new custom delivery client. They also mentioned that they've put a lot of work into this, so to look forward to it. Additionally, there's role quests being added, so these are a direct follow-up to the role quests added in the expansion and 7.0. So if you've completed all of those, you will be able to follow those up in 7.1 with new ones. So I'm excited to wrap mine up and see what the resolution will be in 7.1 for those. There are new Waku Meki Meki quests, which is basically the crystalline mean of this expansion, the crafting hub. This quest is sort of a finale for the business district, says Yoshi P, end quote. So that should wrap up that. Maybe there'll be some rewards like there were with the crystalline mean and other content of this similar description, such as titles, things like that, cutscenes. And then we've got Hildebrand, which was probably the loudest I heard anybody clap in Tokyo Game Show for anything. As you can see from these pictures, they're in Solution 9. Yoshi P says, but we're starting this new side storyline as well. Dawntrail's version of Hildebrand. Not much yet, and just a bit of an introduction. And as you can see, Hildy's holding something out, and I really hope that's a regulator. Can you imagine how fun that storyline would be? And perhaps this will answer my request of, can we please have a non-working regulator for glamour? Because if that's the reward, oh boy, I'll be happy. I can only imagine how brilliant that storyline would be. Yes, very excited for that. And presumably with Hildebrand, that might not be in 7.1. That could be like 7.15 or something. Who knows at this point? But obviously, they've debuted it here. There's New Game Plus for 7.0 that will be added. This supports all the main scenario quest, job, and role quests. So if you're burning to, got a burning itch to go back and support Wook Lamart through her storyline, you'll totally be able to do that with New Game Plus instead of creating a new character. There are duty support additions. This includes support for non-main scenario quest dungeons. These are to be implemented moving forward. This will have its first debut in 7.1 with Halatali, which will get duty support. If you don't know, dungeons outside of the MSQ do not currently have duty support. This is the first of presumably many to be added in the future, of older dungeons as well as any newer expert dungeons, that kind of thing, your side quest dungeons, those will be added to duty support. So that'll be quite fun to see what NPCs they go for. Yoshi P says, we did say main scenario quests would be enough for duty support, but we will slowly be starting to add duty support of dungeons that aren't required for the MSQ too. We might take 10 years though for Aurum Vale, maybe one day. Next is a big one, the Hall of a Novice, which is the training center that most new players either ignore or don't realize exists. This includes new additions. Training for specific battle mechanics will be added. This is unlocked at level 49. Yoshi P says, especially overseas, we're often getting feedback to have something for players that are kind of graduating from the Sprout status, learning mechanics, skill rotations, etc. We're still debating about rotations because that would be a big cost, but we're starting with training specific for mechanics. And they showcase stacks and spreads here, as well as a tank buster. Yoshi P says, I am sure everyone has seen a Sprout get this marker for the first time, how they have no idea what to do and run away from the group, and then you see the group chasing the stack marker. Anyone who hasn't played tank doesn't think too much about the markers we have for tank-specific mechanics. All they know is something that is unrelated to me, but it hurts. So we've added this one as well. And he also says, we start with the easy indicators, but things like look-away markers, explanations for towers are in there as well. Every experienced player already knows what a tower is, but that's not how we can start to explain those right. In the end, there will be a graduation exam. Of course, it's not required for players to keep playing and doing content. So I wonder if that's going to be like the seed exam from Final Fantasy VIII. That would be quite cool. Additionally, we've got extensive updates to PvP action, execution, and hit detection. Yoshi P says there will be PvE job balance changes for 7.1 additionally, but I won't be going into detail today, so presumably the second part of the live letter, probably October. But we're trying to not nerf anything, quote, especially with ultimate in mind and buff jobs within roles where needed. More details in the next PLL. So, yeah, if you thought that Pictomancer was going to get nerfed, it's more likely we're going to get everyone else buffed instead. So just bear that in mind. So for that PvP update, they said in relation to the hit detection, Yoshi P says, we made changes to hit detection. A good example are the machinist limit breaks and primal rend on warrior. A lot of times the animation hasn't gone off fully yet, but the effect like stuns registered on you. This is changing now, and you can react with shields once you see the animation start. So instances of but I shielded, healed should be reduced by a lot. For every job, we're adding new PvP actions, he says, except for Viper and Pictomancer, since they're absolutely new. Yoshi P also says, my beloved Black Mage is changing a lot, so the play feel for some jobs might be very different, end quote. So expect that to feel completely different for PvP as well. So, in short, there's PvP job actions, additions, and adjustments. Arena improvements for the Red Sands and Cloud 9, which is interesting. I don't know what they're going to do there. Balance adjustments for Frontline and Rival Wings. And PvP Series 7 begins, presumably with new rewards that they'll showcase in the next live letter. Quote here, there will be big updates for Frontlines in 7.2, and this is preparation for it, end quote. More info will be on part 2 of the live letter in October. Cool. So, now we move on to battle content for patch 7.1. So, the new dungeon as part of the main storyline is called Ueyawata. I think that's how you pronounce that. Yoshi P says, gives you the darkness or lightning element feeling. There is glass there? If we had a wall made of glass in Final Fantasy XIV, usually it breaks. I am already done with PD checking on this dungeon. The third boss is very engaging. Foxconn says, the dungeon bosses have been something lately, and Yoshi P says, yeah, it might make you feel like, don't do this, guys, end quote. So who knows what that dungeon's going to be like. I can't wait to see more of the content. The duty content is some of my favorite. Final Fantasy XI crossover time then. This is the new Alliance Raid series, and they start with a picture of Juno. As you can see here, Yoshi P says, I have done the first playtest with 24 people, and we're about to start the internal test runs. where we try not to have the same staff repeatedly, always asking, have you playtested yet? No? Okay, you're coming. The first part is called Echoes of Vana'diel, Juno the First Walk. This is in the world of Final Fantasy XIV, Yoshi P says, but we had staff working on this that worked on the Final Fantasy XI version. And next we have this picture. Yoshi P says, one more screenshot. As an FF11 player, you probably know what character could be found in this area. Chat is asking if we're already going for the final boss, to which Yoshi P says, I wonder. There have to be multiple Alliance raids, right? Yoshi P also says, this is a bit of an announcement for the Japanese player base. As you know, the names in 11 have been displayed as alphabetical letters and not like 14 in Japanese. Changing this for 14 would have felt weird, so the names will not be written in Japanese during the Alliance raids. So that's a thing. Okay. Next, they talk about the new Extreme. So this is the story trial. Svein's Burden, that's what it's called, Minstrel's Ballad. Foxconn says, if you've been playing for a while, you already knew what the 7.1 trial would be. And he says, but I don't like this one. Like, what have you guys done with the normal mode even? I'm a healer. I don't like this. Yoshi P says, which mechanic do you dislike? Foxconn says, I don't even know. Absolutely something. It's just wild. Yoshi P says, well, one more screenshot. As you can see, we've changed places. Where did we even go? She clearly shows she is shooting lasers from her arms, right? So you have to move platform. But after you move, the bridges might disappear. End quote. Awesome stuff. Can't wait to see that and see what the wings would look like. Oh my goodness. New Unreal trial is in 7.1. This is the Jade Stoa Unreal with Byakko, which is balanced obviously around a rotation and gear and stuff, and item level of level 100. So that could be quite fun with presumably a new mount reward or something from that Unreal. New battle content then. So this is the thing that everybody thought was Savage 24 player in the interviews. It's called Chaotic Alliance Raid. So, as I said, it was previously known as Savage 24 Player, as its sort of, throw around name. Yoshi P says, we wanted to have a sort of extreme feel, but then the developer, Mr. Osmasan, said, oopsie, it turned a bit more savage than extreme, end quote. So, the first one for the series is the Cloud of Darkness Chaotic, which features you and 23 of your friends, presumably, against the Cloud of Darkness alone as its own sort of savage tier boss fight, which is why it was in the actual patch artwork right at the start. Yoshi P says there are no trash mobs and there is no road to the last boss. Now, he says no road to the last boss. Does that mean there are other bosses in here? Because they only showcased the Cloud of Darkness. They didn't talk about anything else here, and the name of it is Cloud of Darkness Chaotic. So maybe it's just the boss, like a trial. Don't know. It wouldn't make sense otherwise, right? Yoshi P says clearly enumeration towers. So there's 1, 2, and 3 stack towers there if you look, with pre-positioning maybe, and barriers. Interesting. Yoshi P says there are unique rewards for this one, but more on that in the next letter from a producer live. But it's changed the reward system that does give incentive to repeatedly clear and help out. I don't want to call it savage. I don't think it's quite on the level of a 4th savage floor. So are we talking, would it be on par with M3S? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. Futures Rewritten Ultimate gets a slide with some pictures. We've seen this picture before, I think, with Dad Cred. As you can see, it has multiple phases like any other Ultimate. And then we also have Gaia here, or Logriff. And Yoshi P says, delay spell was something we introduced in this raid series. Oh boy, I remember. Actually, it was also Mr. Ozma who came up with that. I am not sure whether this was 1 or 2 weeks after 7.1 release, but it won't be on the same day as 7.1, end quote. So yeah, usually the Ultimate is 1, 2 weeks after the launch of the patch. So then there's a Doman mahjong update. This includes new voiced commentary from Scions will be added. Apparently you'll be able to buy these in the gold saucer with MGP, so there's something to spend your MGP on. Yoshi P says some of our voice actors are mahjong experts. Some had no idea what they were recording, so it was pretty fun, end quotes. Very cool. There's a mahjong update that people ask for, I guess. Housing updates. Now, this is a cool one for me. I love this side of the game. You can now select interior designs from different residential areas, regardless of the locations of your plot. And as you can see here with this new image, this slide shows the new interior renovation works, which is pretty cool. But that's not where it gets really cool. Additionally, there are new interiors that will be added, such as this amazing one shown here. Look how gorgeous that is. Yoshi P says, here, notice all pillars are gone. He also says, we had housing since 2.1, long time, but we finally made it. Interiors without pillars. Reforming is very expensive in real life. We're giving it to you for free, as often as you want. What if you already have items placed, he asks? We're putting it all in storage. You don't have to do it manually one by one, but you do have to replace them one by one. We're also thinking, once you enter a house, it's basically a different dimension, right? And we give you the interior changes for free. But we're thinking, once you enter a small house, why can't it be a large size inside? However, this will not be in 7.1, he stresses. But in the future, you can select the internal size of your house regardless of its exterior. You can change it as often as you want, but it will cost gil, and they hope to implement this in 1 or 2 more patches time. Yoshi says here, it would be unfair to players who fought hard to get a large-size plot, so upgrading the inside will be costly. End quote. Well, that's really, really cool. I love the idea that if you have a small and that's all you can get, that will have the same value internally, at least, for everybody. The real question to me would be, if they can do this for plots of housing, why can't they do this with apartments? That's something that somebody needs to ask or follow up on, because that's a game changer for housing right there. But some really cool stuff. Anyway, that was pretty much 7.1 apart from the announcements. Let me know what you thought. For the announcements, they talked about the Dawntrail soundtrack that's coming out in October. This has a minion of 0. We also have the Primals concert that has an archive thing you can pay to go watch if you missed out on that. There's also new merch, as they show, but also including the t-shirt that Yoshi P is wearing, this new Pictomancer Kryl t-shirt, as well as a Scion-themed fan. There's also the tabletop RPG getting its expansion in February, which also has a deluxe edition with gold dice and a rule book, which is pretty exciting. And that's pretty much it. That's it for the letter from a producer live. Yoshi P leaves with, thanks everyone for coming. This was only part 1 of a letter from a producer live. There will be a part 2 at a later date. There are still things to talk about, such as graphic updates, details with characters, and I have made a post about a few of those changes a few days ago. The dev team is working hard to bring you a good 7.1. Please look forward to it. So anyway, what did you like from that? Personally, my go-to takes from that are the housing changes are amazing. I love the idea of the future of that. I think we were a little bit short on content discussion for 7.1. I think a lot of people will probably rate this probably 6 out of 10 because there wasn't a lot that would just stand out. The Extreme Trial, maybe, the Unreal being Byako, that's something that I didn't know about. I'm most excited for the Chaotic Alliance Raid series out of all of those announcements, as well as the Final Fantasy XI Alliance Raid. But we'll have to see how that fits in and what the Chaotic Alliance Raid actually gives you in terms of rewards, if there was what item level those things would be, that sort of stuff. Let me know what you think about this letter from a producer live from the Tokyo Game Show 2024 that was at an insane time in the morning. If you've liked this video, feel free to give me a like. I do appreciate that, and maybe consider subscribing for more Final Fantasy XIV and other game content. Much love. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.